Hey everybody, welcome to Matt Men, your source for all things professional wrestling. I'm Andrew Zarian, and straight from the future, it's Rich Stambolian.
What's up, baby? Show me all the blueprints. Show me all the blueprints. Show me all the blueprints.
You're from the future, correct?
I am from the future.
What
I'm
year
not
are
from
you
the planet Niptar, though. I'm from the year 2525.
We discovered before that I am from the planet Niptar. This is a show all about professional wrestling, and holy moly, yesterday was a tremendous day for news. Not good news, by the way. Terrible news. Tremendous amount of layoffs within the WWE universe. Not only do we have on-air talent that was laid off and furloughed, we also have off-screen talent. I had the list here. I want to go right into this. It was expected. I think we spoke about this in March that there were going to be some sort of layoffs already within WWE before WrestleMania. I think our last show we discussed that after WrestleMania, there's a good chance that there's going to be some layoffs.
Right. There always is.
Always is. Every couple of years they do this. They used to do, I mean, at one point they used to lay off 10% of the staff. I mean, it was constant that they were doing this. So, not unexpected, but, man, some of this was. So I want to go down this list, obviously, with you. I don't know if you have a list or not, Rich, but I have one here.
I got the list right in front of me.
Also, the Fink passed away. We just got news that Howard Finkel had passed away at 69 years old. He was in not so great health. I think he had a stroke a while ago. He was wheelchair bound for a while. He was not doing great. He passed away. This came out literally moments before we recorded the show. One of the greatest announcer, in-ring announcer.
The greatest ring announcer, I think, in history, right?
I would say so.
Also, like the kind of like one of the voices of our childhood, right?
Yeah, I mean, still to this day, he's considered one of the greatest. Yeah.
Yeah. R.I.P. Fink, man.
Yeah, terrible. But if it was any other day, we would have probably spent more time on Howard Finkel. But there's an unbelievable amount of news that came out of this. So WWE held a meeting at noon. It was a video conference call with the talent of WWE. Some of the things that they discussed here was like, this likely has to do with the earnings call coming up next week. Obviously, they discussed that. 40% of the office laid off or furloughed. I want you to think about that, considering they were moving to a larger office. They were building this new Titan Tower because their staff had gotten so big.
They were building Skynet, basically.
Yeah, so the move to the corporate headquarters that they were building out has been delayed by 6 months, obviously. Many talent released had previously asked for the release. I want people to know that. More releases are going to be happening, but a lot of them are not public. There's a lot of on-air talent that has been furloughed that they're not discussing. So here are the furloughed names for backstage producers. You have Billy Kidman, Mike Rotundo, Pat Buck that just started over there, Fit Finley, Sean Devari, Scott Armstrong, Sarah Stock, not Sarah Del Rey, by the way. Sarah Stock, Shane Helms, and Lance Storm. Lance Storm just shut down his school. And he just got hired by him.
Man.
Yeah. On-screen talent. You ready for this?
Yeah. I have the list in front of me, too.
Okay. So, Kurt Angle, Rusev, Drake Maverick, which Drake actually being terminated, he is going back to film the 205 Live tournament.
Was that filmed already, or is it gonna be filmed?
It's gonna be filmed. He's still filming it. He's, as a fired employee, he's going back. Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins, these two surprised me. Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows surprised me tremendously.
100%.
We'll break down this list. Heath Slater, Eric Young, Rowan, Sarah Logan, No Way Jose, Mike Chioda, been there for like 30 years. Mike Kanellis, Maria Kanellis, EC3, Aiden English, Leo Rush, Primo, Epico, Deanna Parazzo, and Alexander Jackis. Jaksic. There you go.
Jaksic.
Yeah. Also, a couple other from NXT, obviously, to make note. Let's talk about this. Which name surprised you? I guess Rusev. I guess none of them really, right? I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
Thanks for answering the question.
No,
That you
I'm
directed at
thinking
me.
about it. I mean, a little bit. It's a little bit of a stupid question I'm asking you,
Mhm,
but because we've
mhm.
discussed a lot of these
Uh-huh.
names wanting to leave. But what do you think?
Right. Rusev number one. Also, I'm very surprised by Gallows and Anderson, especially since they headlined the first night of WrestleMania with the Undertaker.
I
So
mean,
that's
but
just kind of
Undertaker
like
killed
a
him. No.
Undertaker murdered them, so maybe that's how they wrote them off TV. Everybody else you kind of saw coming. Rowan, I'm a little bit shocked by, just because like he had such a significant push with TV time over the last year, and I
Yeah.
guess I feel like the Rowan thing is a mistake, and they wanted to fire somebody else.
You think so?
I think so. Yeah, it's just the very odd like choice. Gallows and Anderson are going to be okay. You know, like they're buddies with everybody, so they'll be fine. I think the thing that you have to look to with the releases is who may end up where, or who's just gonna like not do anything. Primo and Epico are gonna be fine. They're gonna go to Cuba, right?
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. They're gonna go to Puerto Rico. Um, a lot of these, like Mike Kanellis, Maria Kanellis, will probably end up in Ring of Honor again, right? Who knows what Okay Jose is gonna do?
I don't know. He's the most sad one for me on this list.
Is he?
Yeah, I mean, okay, let's go
Why?
down. Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle will get. He has, by the way, 90-day,
Mhm.
90-day non-compete for the talent, right? And
Yeah.
people were up in arms on Twitter over this. Guys, they're getting paid the downside guarantee for 90 days. There's no wrestling happening. That's a blessing for these guys.
Right.
They're
Heal
not.
up, get better.
Yeah, they're healing up. They're getting better. They're getting the downside guarantee. And then in July, mid-July, they'll be able to go do whatever they want. But hopefully by that point, companies will be making decisions on what they're doing. But if they got sent home right now, I'm like, all right, guys, you're free to go sign wherever you want. That's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hopefully this, again, we've said this for the last month. Hopefully this is over sooner than later. But, you know, the bright side is you get to heal up. There's going to be offers coming in. These guys may want to just take time off, enjoy their money, enjoy their break, you know. I see somebody like EC3 definitely continuing, you know. But it would be cool if he showed up. Everybody's screaming for AEW. If he had one more Impact run, I think that would be a lot of fun.
Who are you talking about? Which guy?
EC3.
EC3. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see. I mean, I think the MJF and EC3 moment would be tremendous. You know, that would be a cool moment for them. But you're right.
If he had one more run in Impact.
No. I think you're absolutely right. I think he probably will go to Impact and have one more run there because you know he was really the guy for them. And you know he left. He went to NXT, and they chose not to do anything with him at all, which was baffling to me because you have a former world champion, the guy that carried Impact and TNA for a while. Great storyline with Dixie Carter being Dixie Carter's nephew. You could have incorporated so much of this, and they didn't. Which speaks volumes, you know, about the decision making.
Just a weird bum move, and this also kind of bites WWE in the butt big time too, because remember, like last year, they just went on like a complete signing spree for everybody, and now that signing spree equals something like this, where it's like, all right, we signed all these dudes, now we got to trim the fat just like a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
And it also explains like the call-ups a little bit better, like the Austin Theory and the Angel Garza, you know, like maybe they had like a little sense of who to let go in the future, you know?
Yeah, it seems that way. I want to go down this list a little bit with you, and I'm going to shoot these names, and you're going to tell me where you think they're going. Okay.
Okay.
Let's do this. Kurt Angle. What do you make of this?
I don't know. I think Kurt Angle may want to. Again, this is just like me personally. I think he may want to take time off, and who knows, you know, because they could have told him, "Hey, look, like when this is over, we'll just bring you back as a producer." I don't really see him doing the backstage stuff at AEW, you know, but that's just me. What about you?
I think he's just going to go right back to WWE.
Okay.
I don't see him going to AEW. I mean, it's possible. Anything is possible, right? Rusev, this is the big one.
I think Rusev just chills out for a little bit, man. I think he hangs out at home. He gets better. I think he had like a bicep deal. that he had like a bum bicep or something.
Yeah, I with Rusev, I know he was very unhappy.
Hmm.
He went home at one point on his own due to something with the merch sales. He was very upset over
Hmm.
something with the merch. I could see him going to AEW in a heartbeat.
I don't see that for some reason. I just don't get that vibe. I just feel like I don't think not like he's gonna do indies or anything, but I feel like this dude's gonna do like Impact or something. You know,
You think
what
so?
was his what would his name? What would his name be on Impact?
Rusevov, Rusevov.
He's in the Impact Zone.
Uh,
Um,
I don't know.
I could.
I see him wanting more. I don't see him getting it at Impact. I do see him getting something at AEW, and he'll be listen in AEW. He'll be very welcomed by the viewers.
I disagree. I'm gonna
Really?
say I think he'd have more of a, and this is just speculation, but I think just him having the run he did, I think Impact would treat him more like a main eventer than AEW would, because you already have all your
Yeah.
main eventers in AEW, and they're
Well,
already
also think
building
about the
them.
money
You
though.
know,
Think about the money. Can they afford
right?
Rusev? Drake Maverick, I think he'll be back in WWE. Everybody speaks so highly of him. What do you think?
Yeah, he seems like a super nice guy, and I agree with you, but I'd like to see him do like I'd like to see a lot of these guys do the journeyman thing and just
Mm.
kind of go from place to place. Um, who knows? You know, like him, EC3, you can have them reunite. Ryder and Hawkins make a good tag team wherever they would go. You
Yeah,
know,
they could be a great indie act. They could be a great independent act.
hmm
Going from like you said, going from Impact to whatever. I could see them in AEW as a tag team. I don't know what it would mean. It probably wouldn't mean much. I think a lot of people are under the thing like, well, now look, Heath Slater could go. I mean, first of all, Heath Slater's going to go get jacked up, come back, and win the world title, right? Is that the
absolutely,
trajectory
100%,
he's on? Okay, okay, we'll agree
100%.
on that. Gallows and Anderson, you're surprised. I know they were contemplating leaving,
Hmm.
but they decided to stay in the company. And the reason was they wanted to secure, as Anderson wanted to secure money for the kids, right?
Yeah.
That's anyone, he was having, he had a good thing going with the days on, days off, so it was working for him.
Hmm.
Luke Gallows, you're in WWE at the end of the day. That's what it means. Then you're hanging out with
Hmm.
AJ Styles. These guys were having a great time. They were hanging out with their buddy. Now it's a very
Right.
different story. Anderson and Gallows, do they go back to Japan? For a one-off, I think so. But these guys have to be AEW bound. What do you think?
I think if me personally as a fan, I think you want them to get that AEW deal that lets them work in New Japan and let them do a couple of dates in New Japan, get that crazy pop, right? You know, like do the Bullet Club stuff for a little bit. They're buddies with Jericho. They're buddies with, I'm assuming, the Bucks, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
like whatever the New Japan guys that they worked with, prior to the AEW stuff. So I could see them fit in there very, very well, you know, and
Yeah.
plus, like, Anderson has a family. I don't really see like an intense Japanese run in their future, but like a couple of one-offs would be awesome, you know?
I think we discussed when they signed the contract, we said,
Hmm.
I think it was me. I was like, well, they could do something by, when they decide to leave WWE at the end of this contract. I think Anderson would have been like 45 by the
Right.
end of this contract. So, I listen, it's never a blessing when you're let go from a company, but
Hmm.
it's quite from what I know, a lot of the names that were let go were names that were not happy. So
Okay.
it might have been first come, first serve. If we're unhappy, let us know now. And we'll, obviously some people they said no to, but if they felt that they didn't need these guys, they would release them. It's quite possible that they were the two that said, listen, we want to go, maybe we'll come back. And then they said, fine, no problem, because they gave them an astronomical contract.
Right.
You gotta. A lot of these guys had just recently re-signed with the company, and they were given very bloated contracts. The negotiation now with AEW is not going to be what it would have been, 6 months ago. We're in a very different
Right.
story now. So I think Gallows and Anderson are one of those hot acts that could really boost any company's tag team division. I'm leaving Impact and Ring of Honor out of this because they will most likely not be in the position of major negotiations for financial reasons, right? We
Right,
know
right,
this.
right. Especially now.
Especially now. So other than having people do one-offs and do small programs and not really sign a contract, I don't that's a possibility, obviously, but I
Mhm.
can't see Gallows and Anderson going to Impact or going to Ring of Honor. I think for them, hit the nail on the head here, Rich. It's New Japan couple dates, sign it with sign it with AEW. They could do their big debut probably at what's the one in September? Not Double or
Double or
Nothing.
Nothing?
No, All Out. They could do that where they
Okay.
show up, they attack the Bucks. They could do something. There's that whole
Mhm.
Bullet Club story still festering there that was not resolved.
Absolutely.
Very excited for that. Out of out of the negative, we're about to make a positive. That's it. Obviously, we said we both agree. Heath Slater, Eric Young. I don't know. Really, not much we could talk about with him. Where does he go? What does he do?
TNA
Be an agent?
goes back to
I guess.
Impact.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Eric Rowan, like you said, a little surprising. Vince saw
Mhm.
the spider thing and said, "Fuck this." Apparently,
Terrible. But I feel like wasn't the spider thing like his idea?
I have no idea. Yeah, maybe I don't
Big
know. I don't
mechanical,
remember.
big stupid mechanical
Big
spider.
stupid spider. It's gonna be a spider in a cage.
Terrible.
Where does he go? He's interesting. He's a big dude. They haven't really ever done much with him. They've stopped and started. Japan, maybe Japan. I don't know if he wants to go there. Does he join the Dark Order?
Yeah, like I have a problem with stuff like that just because it makes AEW seem like a weird WWE light kind of thing. I don't think you need that. I would like to see that if he wants to go to Japan, I would like to see him be in Japan because Japan right now has a lack of like really big dudes, right? Like they're kind of on the verge of losing Lance Archer.
Why are they on the verge of losing Lance Archer?
Just because he's back in the States, I think. He could be one of those dudes that has been there for so many years that he doesn't want to wrestle there anymore.
You're talking about Japan. I got very confused.
Yes, I'm talking about Japan.
I thought you meant AEW, and I was like, wait a minute.
No.
Yeah, possible. So maybe he could be the big dude in Japan. Yeah, great place to reinvent yourself. We got Sarah Logan. I think she'll be back for sure.
Yeah.
Sarah Logan will be back. Good addition to the AEW women's roster for sure. I see her coming back.
It sucks that they split like a few couples too, like Rusev and Lana, Sarah Logan and her husband, the Viking.
I expect some
the Viking
names.
Raider.
I expect some names to be added to that
today
for sure. Coming today or tomorrow.
I'm shocked because like not saying that like I don't want to see anybody fired, but I'm very shocked that WWE is hanging on to Cesaro and Nakamura.
Nakamura just signed a contract. He negotiated the hell out of that contract, and they did have plans for him, from what I was told. Cesaro, I think he's just so well liked at the end of the day. That's what it comes down to. No Way Jose. What happens to him?
He can do very well for himself on the indies.
No Way Jose getting I guess if he prices himself right, he could do something. Mike Chioda, I expect him to be back in an advisory role. Mike and Maria Kanellis, fascinating, right? These are guys that have been very vocal about being unhappy in the company. Mike Kanellis signed the deal with them, ended up going to rehab. Maria got pregnant twice. It's been a lot of stop and start with them. Mike cleaned up his whole life, according to him, and he looks great. Ring of Honor?
Whatever. No offense to No Way Jose, but I don't think I was his fan. I wasn't his fan base.
Mike and Maria Kanellis.
Oh, Mike and Maria Kanellis. I don't know, man. Again, not really his fan base. I was cool with him in the Kingdom, and that's about it.
EC3, another big name to anybody except WWE. We spoke about him. You said Impact. I kind of agree. I think him showing up at Impact would be the big valuable pop, and then eventually coming to AEW, having some sort of exchange with MJF.
Sure. That'd be
it's
cool.
natural.
Do you think he would blow MJF out of the water? I mean, physically, absolutely. But do you think who the battle of like the rich prick gimmicks, who gets the edge?
I think, you know what? I think he would end up becoming. Here's a great example. Okay, I think a lot of
Mhm.
people have not heard the uncensored EC3 promos. We have, because we heard it at Evolve.
Right.
It was very much the MJF level of heat. He was
Oh yeah, absolutely.
a real dick. I mean,
Real piece of work.
a real piece of work, exactly. So I think that exchange could be great. I imagine that MJF will be the heel in this, and
Mhm.
he'll be the babyface, and he'll lose to MJF if we were to do it the right way. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think you could have they would be such a good tag team together. I think too. Like between MJF, Wardlow, and EC3, that's a good trio right there.
That's a great
And their whole,
trio.
and then you would have how Sean Spears and Sammy Guevara are constantly betting on stuff.
Yeah.
I think you could take that concept and apply it to MJF and EC3 and do it to an extreme, almost like what was the Dan Aykroyd Eddie Murphy movie, which I'm blanking on right now. It's one of my
Oh my
favorite movies.
God.
Where they just make these insane bets to mess with people's lives.
Beverly Hills Cop Ninja
Was
in
Beverly Hills
Chinatown
Cop?
3. Is that it?
No, that wasn't it. Beverly Hills
All
Cop
right.
4. Trading Places.
Trading Places. Is that it?
Yeah, they
Is
could
that
do
it?
a Trading Places style bet where they're just messing with people on the roster and buying people left and right, and they could buy one of the guys from the Dark Order.
I got a great idea. You said Trading Places. It reminded me of the show Trading Spaces, where you would have neighbors go into each other's homes and decorate the home, like renovate
Ooh,
the entire thing. I want to
yeah.
see that on a WWE level, where you have wrestlers go into other wrestlers' homes and totally renovate the house into what they envision.
Weren't there? Didn't they already have a few wife swaps?
Wife? I mean, there's been plenty wife spots in wrestling.
I mean, and on the TV show Wife Swap, I think didn't they have a WWE edition with
Yeah, it was
Hall of
Piper
Famers?
and Flair.
I want to say Foley was on one episode too.
It could have been Foley. Yeah, Foley was on one. Piper was on one. I thought Flair was on one too.
Yeah.
Who else was there?
There's a couple guys. If anybody knows who was on those wrestling wife swaps on TV, let us know. Put it in the chat room.
Yeah.
Put a link in the chat room.
Let's see.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button. By the way, you reminded me. You should smash that like button, and you should hit that subscribe button, because we're almost at 4,000 subscribers. So it would be awesome if you guys could subscribe to us. Hit the subscribe button here on YouTube. And let's just I want to hit 4,000. We're almost there with this. All right, let
10,
me see who else.
Smash that like button. Don't smash your significant other.
No, we don't want that. Aiden English.
Okay.
Where
I'm sure
does
he'll
he
be
go?
fine somewhere.
Okay.
Ring of Honor.
Okay. Leo Rush. He'll be everywhere.
He'll be fine. He'll be just fine.
Primo and Epico. We said back to Puerto Rico, which I think they've been. I think they've been there. I don't even think they. A lot of people did not even know that they were hired. Still, one of them was recently suspended, right?
Yeah. I think it was. I want to say Epico.
One of them was Deonna Purrazzo. Very interesting. She was just starting to get a push. I've heard really good stuff about her. I expect her to be back in WWE. This is temporary. They were starting that push with her, and they didn't really. I don't know. Interesting. So
I like how you throw in a little bit of the Italian on her name.
Purrazzo.
Deonna Purrazzo.
Deonna Purrazzo.
Deonna Purrazzo.
So, I mean, that's the list right now. There's anticipated more. They're also going to get a whole bunch of furloughed employees, on-screen furloughed employees that they're not mentioning their names. I'm sure it'll come out in the next couple of weeks, in a couple of days, who these people are. Pablo, regards from Spain, regards from New York City.
Forgot.
I think this is historic in many ways. One, that they are doing tremendous cuts, right? And WWE's been in this position of wanting to keep everybody under contract. And I don't know if you saw, one of the disputes that Vince McMahon had with his CEOs was that the company was
Mhm.
getting too bloated with talent. They had over 300 wrestlers and
Yeah.
on-screen talent at one point. Now, obviously, they cut down like 50 people or whatever the number is, but they were getting really bloated, and they were advising Vince, like, listen, you got to let some of these guys go, and they did not want to let them go just in case.
Oh yeah.
The
Exactly.
reality is, the Bucks signing with WWE or not, that was still in the air, but WWE kind of controlled the fate of John Moxley and Cody Rhodes
Mhm.
and Chris Jericho,
Absolutely.
right? And
Absolutely.
I mean Matt Hardy now, but Matt could go and come. He could do whatever he wants. But I'm saying, like, the future of the company right now, Cody could have been that world champion in WWE. Jericho could have been doing the same act in WWE, and it would be getting over if he was allowed to.
Absolutely.
They're under this idea of like, holy crap, who's that next guy? If we were to release, would become a huge star. Rusev is one of those names that comes to
You
mind.
think so?
I do. I think Rusev he's very liked,
Mhm.
right? With even
Right.
the crap that they're doing. And 3 years ago, this guy was on top of the world. He had that unbelievable match with John Cena. That entire program with John
Mhm.
Cena was great. He was a
Yeah, he was
foreign
on top of the
heel.
tank too.
He came out on top of a Soviet tank.
Mhm.
Uh, I he was really on a great trajectory, and then they cooled off. That's it. It's inconsistencies due to so many people being involved.
Yeah. I as much as I love Rusev, I don't really see, and I hate to say this, but I don't really see him making as much of an impact as the other guys you mentioned. You know,
I don't
just
know.
because, like, I don't know, like, go ahead.
I'm not saying on a world on like a world champ. Whoa, it's two of me. Look at this. I'm not saying on like a
Mhm.
world champion level, but you still
Whoa.
need a very strong mid card in that company, which you
Right.
don't really
Okay.
have. They're building it, but they don't have a really solid. Like, I'm thinking, like, remember when Kenny he became a cruiser? He had the lightweight championship in New Japan, and you could
Mhm.
see this guy getting better and better and better and better. And then right before he was even in the title picture, this guy became a pop culture icon in wrestling. That
Right. Right.
trajectory. They don't have that. WWE doesn't even have that right now. The Austin build when he
No.
was IC champion. People forget that when Austin was IC champion, that's when it really started. That pop when the glass shattered, people lost their minds. So
Well,
that is
go ahead.
lacking everywhere.
Well, here's the thing with WWE, right? It's the machine, like it's the big machine, and they've learned their lesson to not let talent have an insane amount of control, right? So now everybody's on this weird even playing field that when they get over, they're separated from everybody else. Like they're never gonna let go of like a Roman or like a Seth, right? Or
Yeah.
like probably even like a Braun Strowman or a Bray Wyatt. These are guys that they're not gonna let go, but they're also not as over as I think they would have been if they had a more of an organic rise to the top, right? Like they shoved all these dudes down our throat at some point. And now, like you were saying, you don't have that organic build for like,
Yeah.
yo, this guy's gonna be the new guy, like where in like New Japan, like the Kenny example is perfect. Like when he joined the Bullet Club as a cleaner, you were like, oh shit, now everything's gonna go nuts. And it did, right?
Yeah. Listen, it 100% did. So here's how you see this. WWE has had those moments, though. I was thinking about this while you were talking. Nakamura was one of those guys when he came in, right?
Yeah.
AJ Styles was one of those guys. There's about a 30%
Mhm.
success rate that they're going to go with the program, with what people want.
Mhm.
Daniel Bryan's rise was, years in the making. But if we're talking about
Absolutely.
guys that just show up and get like, holy crap, this guy's getting over, that's a rarity. And it's even
Mhm.
more of a rarity for them to continue with this and to actually give the guy the push. Nakamura's a great example of it.
Yeah.
He showed up in WWE. He was on top in NXT. He was a big star there. Then
Mhm.
you had he goes to the main roster. He has a couple of matches, and then they turn him heel stupidly and have
Mhm.
him become the nut kicker.
I'll give you a better example than Nakamura. Bobby Roode.
Oh, great example for Bobby Roode. Yep,
When
great
when
example.
Bobby Roode was in NXT, it was the coolest shit, right? Like he was doing really good heel stuff. In-ring work was amazing. Got over with the crowd with that theme song, the entrance, the whole nine. His work rate. Put him on the main roster, and let me ask you, what happened to Bobby Roode on the main roster?
Nothing.
Right. And he's surprisingly, I'm surprised that he's not on that list because I think that dude would be perfectly fine going anywhere else in the world.
I, remember how Bobby Roode debuted in that company?
The NXT debut or
no, his first NXT debut. Yeah, do you know how he showed up in NXT? At like a bizarro outdoor convention house show for NXT.
Okay.
Which is fascinating. And listen, WWE is able to put together a package. He's a WWE creation. The original Bobby Roode showing up would not have really done much, but they were really able to add on top of that, and that's a great example of when they know what to do.
Well, it's a weird thing too at WWE because if you're getting over and you're not in the cards to get over, they're gonna take it right out from under you, right? And you've seen that happen so many times, and it's kind of upsetting because there's like this master plan. It seems like there's this master plan of guys where they're like, we want to go with X, Y, and Z, and then all of a sudden, like somebody else shows up, and they just they stop it. Zack Ryder is another good example of that. Zack Ryder was one of the most over dudes in the company by himself, and then they took it out right from under him, right?
Yeah, and Zack Ryder's a great, phenomenal example. Zack Ryder was never intended on getting over. His point in the company was that there are no preliminary guys. There's no jobbers, which I don't like that term, but jobbers. Everybody has a character because they could eventually sell shirts and sell merch.
Right.
Barry Horowitz, great example. This guy got over from doing this. How many fucking shirts do you think WWE would have sold by today's standard compared to when he was, a wrestler?
Right.
Unbelievable. So they look at everybody as, listen, your job is not really to get over. Your job is to be a merch seller. So yeah, you'll have people that like you, but we don't really intend on doing much with you. So some of these guys, that mentality beats you up. It makes you believe that you're in that position and that's your need. So, and you're content with it. I think I'm not saying that as for Zack Ryder because I think he's super talented. He came up in a very different era. He came up in an era of developmental, went there, and it was cookie cutter machine wrestling. And now, listen, he got himself over with the gimmick and the Long Island IC stuff and the internet title. Any other era, he would have been given a little bit more of a push than the time that he got his push. But where does Zack Ryder go with that gimmick now? You know what I mean? Like, how does it work anywhere else outside of WWE? Does he have to go and reinvent himself and become a serious guy now?
I think he should show up as a mean piece of shit.
Yeah.
Just you know what? F this party nonsense. F this woo stuff.
Can he become, you want to date my daughter? He should become, want to date my daughter. A Long Island brute that owns a construction company that he constantly harasses people everywhere. Waiting online is getting coffee. Starts fighting with people.
Still catcalling.
Does not believe in social distancing. Thinks it's a big scam.
Oh, no.
He's pissed that he can't go get his bagels in the morning.
What do you mean I can't get my bagel?
What do you mean I can't get my fucking bagels? You want to date my daughter?
If they made him that guy. Also, if they put him on... I think if they put him in AEW, if he ends up on the AEW roster, his body is going to blow everybody's mind because he's a giant dude. People don't realize how big this guy is.
I think people don't realize how big all these guys are. Even guys that
big.
Like I'm gonna go down this list, right? Let me see here from the people that are let go. Obviously, Rusev is tremendous in size. Zack Ryder, tremendous in size. Carl Anderson, even Carl Anderson is big. Luke Gallows is tremendous. Rowan, tremendous. No Way Jose, EC3, tremendous in size. Like, these are just big
giant people,
dudes, and you don't realize it ever.
They should all show up as a faction just called the Bigs.
The Bigs.
And they're all pieces of shit. They're all that Long Island piece of shit that can't get their bagel.
What do you mean?
I know, right?
I gotta wait outside with a mask? No.
What do you mean, Chief?
Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. The governor doesn't know anything. He's just taking money from Percocet and from Pfizer and from Quaalude, and that's why he wants these masks, because they're all making he's a conspiracy theorist also. He's a big pharmaceutical. He's anti-pharma.
Everybody, all those guys. He's anti-pharma. What do you mean I gotta wear a mask to come into the store? Say hi to Charlie for me.
I just want to say hi to Charlie.
I hate
So
those
I don't know
guys.
if you know, a place by us got busted 2 days ago for having people out there drinking.
Of course they
Yeah,
did.
and
Idiots.
I heard that one of the guys that was there started fighting with the cops. Like, what do you want me to do? Sit at home with my wife? I censored myself there. I heard that he said that in front of his wife too. The wife was
Oh
there.
boy. So that one of the bars was open, or was it
It was an
like a
outdoor
house?
venue. No, an outdoor venue that was open. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Was it OSP?
I don't want to say the name.
Oh my god. All right. It's so weird. I can imagine it being that place just because that's a typical like older man bar. You
I
know?
love that place.
Like,
I go there all the time. I love old man bars.
I know you do. I know.
I love old
me
men.
too, but I know. Old men love you. Old men love you right back.
So listen, this is obviously not a fun. I mean, we're trying to make the best out of this. These guys are gonna. Some of them they're gonna end up leaving the business. Some of them are gonna thrive. It's all a matter of how this plays out. I think for Rusev, and I think for Gallows and Anderson, I think for a couple other names, this may be a positive as far as their career goes. I don't know. We'll see. You know, good thing is also by the way, NXT talent is getting paid 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
they only have a 30-day clause. They're getting their stuff paid for 30 days. WWE has a 90-day non-compete main roster, which is fine in this scenario because there's nowhere they could go. There's no conventions. There's no signings. They can't make money. So they're getting paid for 90 days.
Isn't that the perfect storm too for these guys? Just because, like, well, you know, if they save their money, they're in a good position because for the next 3 months they can stay at home, heal up, start making phone calls, you know, talking about their returns, talking to different companies about what they're going to do, and just, you know, making moves, right? Like getting the ball rolling.
Yeah. So, guys, let's do your questions. Viewer questions. If you're in the chat room, youtube.com/MattMenPodcast is the chat. We're live every week, sometimes on Tuesdays, sometimes on Thursdays. I'm glad we waited till Thursday this week. Sometimes
Absolutely.
both days. So get your questions ready. You could go to youtube.com/MattMenPodcast. When we're live, we can submit the questions there. Also, if you love funding us, you love us, go to ProWrestlingTees.com/MattMenPodcast. Get your Pro Wrestling Tee there. We have a number of shirts. Also, we have the official Mattman Exotic shirt available. If you go to our YouTube, if you go to our Twitter, I tweeted this out a while ago. I don't think Rich thought it was real. I don't think you thought that this was.
I couldn't believe. Well, I texted you, that's unreal. That doesn't mean I don't think it's real.
Okay. It's unreal. Yeah, so we have the Mattman Exotic shirts available. I just got to find where I posted this. It's on our YouTube. If you want to get it, I believe it's under $20 right now, and it's a very fun. I'm going to retweet this. Hold on. Let's do this right now. Mother effer. What happened here? Oh, here we go. I'm going to retweet this. So if you go to our page right now, you'll probably see it in the first one or two posts. You can get that there. It's ridiculous. Love it. Thanks to Jonathan for designing that. So let's do
Jonathan,
our viewer questions. Submit it in our chat. What do we have here? Let's see.
Have you seen the new Dark Side of the Ring episode?
I did not. You did, right? And we discussed this. Do you want to go into some of that?
The Snooker one?
Yeah.
It was good. I watched it with my wife. My wife loves true crime, so these Dark Side of the Ring episodes are like right up her alley. You know, like she loved it. This episode was interesting. It was about the quote unquote like, did he murder his girlfriend at the time? Yeah. And it was like there's one fascinating part, and I kind of hit the nail on the head with it, where they show the girl in question, and she was like 19 when she started dating Snuka. She was like
Nancy
a 19-year-old Italian, 19-year-old Italian Brooklyn girl, and like started dating this guy. And my wife was like, "Really, that guy?" And I'm like, "Think about it. This dude looks like friggin' Tarzan, you know, like giant islander, all jacked up. Of course she's gonna fall in love, you know. Like this is like he was the number one exotic guy at the time, right?
He was an exotic dude, yeah.
And people loved him. Very sad though, like the way it ended. But you know, like I would say, see it for yourself.
Yeah. I haven't seen it. I wanted to watch it with my wife last night, but I had an edible. I took an edible, and we both
Flintstones vitamin.
yeah, we both took edibles, and we ended up on a different planet. What was the planet I was from?
Niptar.
Niptar. Yeah,
Yeah.
Niptar. We ended up on planet Niptar.
That's awesome, man. Where are you getting these edibles from?
Oh, I got a guy.
I'm wearing a wire, by the way.
Yeah. I got this. If his, I don't want to say. I don't want to describe.
I need you to say it very clearly and right into the microphone.
So he's this Guyanese dude. His name is Sammy. Yeah.
I'm writing this down.
And he drives a Nissan Maxima. Hangs out with the Usos. Let's see. Yeah. So I didn't see it, but I do want to see it because it's. I know the story is so bizarre. I'm curious what they went into. So I haven't seen it. You saw it. You said it was pretty good. Okay. What else did I have?
Check it out. They're all good.
Check it out.
Let's see. Which wrestler would have had a great championship run if there was no Hulkamania?
I didn't even see the question, but I knew it was going to be a Hulkamania one.
Good question.
I'll go first, and I have a couple here. I think Piper would have had a great run. Piper would have been great. I think Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff, would have had a great run with that title.
Okay.
I think everything else is muddled, really. You needed Hulkamania to kind of make these guys. So I'm gonna go with the idea of Hulkamania still is around, because that kind of changed everything into this boom period. So I think if Hulkamania wasn't around, you still would have had a lot of those older guys holding the title. You would have had Sheik being the guy. I think Backlund would have been the guy still going into the mid to late 80s, which is crazy to think about it. I think Slaughter would have played a huge part in WWE. Ventura probably would have had a title.
Slaughter's my choice, because you have to think, like, I think a better question would be, like, if it wasn't Hogan versus Andre at WrestleMania 3, who would it have been? Because that was like the real jumpstart for Hulkamania, right? Like, Andre gave him the blessing, and he slammed him. I'd put my money on Sarge for that. Super marketable.
He was very popular. I think Ventura would have played a huge part in this. Even possibly the return of superstar Billy Graham in the 80s. He would have possibly had some sort of run. It's quite possible, Bruno could have come back for something else, because he was, Bruno wrestled in the 80s. People forget that.
Yeah.
I think up until like 1988.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you right now, because he was tagging with his son. 1987, I believe, was his last match. So you got to think about that. San Martino competed at WrestleMania 2. People don't remember. His final match was at a house show in Baltimore in 1987, where he teamed up with Hulk Hogan, defeating King Kong Bundy and One Man Gang. That's actually, I would love to see that. But very interesting. You would have had all these things. But let's say Hulk Hogan existed, and they decided to kind of treat it as if today's wrestling. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I would say Piper would have had that title in the 80s. Piper, Orndorff, Andre definitely would have been a long-term guy with the title.
Yeah.
And then you go into the 90s. So obviously you have the Rick Roods, and you have the Kurt Hennings. Sarge could have held that title longer. Macho could have held that title longer. I don't know. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Like go later on though. Forget about the early, but let's like go into like 1988 on.
My money would have been on Sarge, and I definitely think you would have gotten Warrior
mid to late 80s.
Yeah, you would have gotten Warrior Savage more, I think. Like Warrior Savage, and then like straight late 80s like Undertaker, right? Like I think those guys would have been like the boom. Definitely Savage would have been like number one, I think, and you would have had like a lot of different interesting stuff. You want to do another question?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. If this shutdown continues until late fall or early next year with no crowds, what happens to Ring of Honor, Impact, and AEW?
Say that again, because you broke up my headphones.
If this shutdown continues until late fall or early next year with no crowds, what happens to Ring of Honor, Impact, and AEW?
AEW has a TV rights deal, so as long as they're producing shows, they're gonna get paid, and TNT is very happy with them. Even though they've had ups and downs, but obviously everybody has. AEW's fine. Impact is owned by the channel that they're on, so they'll be fine, right? They don't have to put on shows, really. They could just come back because they're owned by the network. Same thing with Ring of Honor, but Ring of Honor is the most dangerous one out of this. I don't know if Sinclair would want
Right.
to pump more money in this. Obviously, Sinclair has a tremendous amount of money, but the trajectory of Ring of Honor was going way down going into this. So
Right.
if everybody was up, even Impact guys, Impact was doing really decent TV. I it's I just don't like Josh Matthews on commentary. And you know what bothers me about it more than anything else? Not his commentary style, but he deepens his voice with audio processing, so it sounds hyper processed.
Really?
Yeah. I want you to listen to it. And
Very
it does
interesting.
not sound like the guy. No knock at him. That's the only thing that bothers me about it. It's almost like they deepen his voice and they slow him down. I do like their shows. They're fine. I just don't watch enough. So I think they're going to be able to hang on. Listen, indies are going to hang on because they don't make money and if they don't put on shows. And somebody's always going to want to put on a show. So that's okay. I think Ring of Honor is the one that is a little bit more dangerous. What do you think?
Yeah, dude. Like, I agree 100% with everything you just said. Like, Ring of Honor.
God damn it, Rich. No, disagree with me.
I'm not going to disagree with you. It's right. When I disagree with you, I'll disagree with you. But that's 100% right. Like, Ring of Honor was on its, I don't want to say last legs, but this certainly did not help.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think this is helping.
Let's see what else we got here. Is it true that Samoa Joe is going to be revealed as Enchante's storyline brother?
His lover.
Brother.
You want it to be brother? I want it to be lover.
Well, oh, okay.
Ambiguous. And then you know what it is? He just carries me to the ring.
like in his arms, though. Not in his arms. On his back.
No. In his arms. He just carries me, and then he just plops me down, and I yell at him because he's like a big oaf. That's a gimmick. So I just constantly scold him for putting me down wrong.
What will these releases help boost the independent scene? If there is one left, yeah, absolutely.
Listen, I think it depends if what these guys price themselves at. You know, you have guys that leave WWE and are asking 3, 4, 5,000 a booking. I think, like we know that Undertaker's booking for just appearances is like $20,000-$30,000. Flair was in the 10s and 20s at one point. Ryback doesn't get a lot of bookings. You know why? Because he wants a lot of money. So
$17,000.
I think it was like 5. I want to say.
Great.
Yeah. I could be wrong. I could be pulling that number out of my ass, but for some reason 5,000 sits in my head. I don't know if that's his rate now, but I know John Morrison was asking a lot of money. So if these guys have a realistic number, like Cody was doing these things for like $500 because he just wanted to be out there. I want people to know that about him. He was doing shows for like $1,000. Sometimes he would give the money back if it was a bad house. And listen, Cody's put in a very different position. He comes from money. He's done great in his career. So he's in a very different situation. But if these guys take a different approach, saying like, listen, I need to, it's an investment, right? You're going to take way less for way more later. And we've seen that with people. Look at Drew. Drew is a great example. I mean, there's no better example than Drew. I mean, you could talk about Jinder Mahal, but Jinder Mahal getting the title was a anomaly that, and he was a right guy at the right place. He wasn't due to, elevating himself. But I do appreciate Jinder Mahal's run. But you look at a guy like Drew, where he got let go. He was in the bottom of the barrel. Like, he was in matches. People don't remember with that little the LP, the bull. What was it? Torito?
Yes.
Right? He was jobbing out to that guy and looking like a fool. They release this guy. He goes and gets jacked up, grows some hair on his chest, grows a beard, looks fucking gnarly, tours the world, becomes the independent guy. He's a giant, so he's obviously standing out. I may or may not have been zooming in and out and taking butt pictures of him at Evolve. I may or may not have been.
You are.
And I was. And posting them. Didn't I do guess the butt? I zoomed in on his ass at Evolve, and I wrote guess the butt, and immediately all the girls knew it was Drew. I thought it was hysterical.
He is legit one of the biggest people I've ever seen in a real life situation.
I thought you were going to call him the biggest piece of shit you've ever seen. I was like, what happened?
Father,
what'd he do?
No, he when we went to that Evolve show, both of us were just like, yo, this dude is gigantic.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I took my wife to one. You weren't at that one. It was me and my wife, and we were sitting. You know where the bar is, and you could overlook.
At
the schools are at Laboom, yeah.
Yeah.
So we were sitting there, and it was great because we got a little table. We have our drinks, And it's funny watching Jess as a non-wrestling fan go to a wrestling show and pick out all the bad stuff. I'm like, oh my God, you kind of get this. She's like, no, I kind of get it.
Mhm.
She saw Drew and she goes, my God, this guy should not be in this ring. I said, why? He goes,
Mhm.
he's tremendously large. I
gonna
go,
break
yeah,
it.
no, like he was, I was like, I'm like, and so he had him, I forgot who his match was with. I want to say Cedric was involved in that match. And she was blown away. She's like, this guy moves as fast as these little guys. I was like, yes, that's why this guy's unbelievable. So you got a guy like Drew that went and he did it the right way and he built himself up and there he is now. I think a lot of these guys are going to be able to do that, but some may not. You know, I think Rusev is going to be one of those guys. I think Gallows and Anderson are probably just going to go to AEW or Japan or both. Looking at this list. I don't know. You really don't have. Maybe Mike and Maria start off going to someplace. I don't know what the answer here is. You know, Kurt Angle's not going to wrestle, or is he? Or is he?
That is true. Let's tie this into another question from Brandon. No. Who is the Drew Galloway gender reinvention that comes back?
Oh, that's a great one. Heath Slater, right? Obviously.
I feel like that's like too on the nose, but like who would legitimately change their style, do the indie stuff, and then all of a sudden, boom, like he comes back better than ever, new character. Like I'm not talking like John Morrison. John Morrison, they just made him the same guy he was when he left. But Jinder and Drew, they certainly did not let them remain the same, right?
Yeah. Let me see here. I'm gonna go Rusev possibly. Yeah, Rusev can reinvent himself. EC3 will probably keep his gimmick, but it's possible that he goes back. I'm gonna go on a whim and say Mike Kanellis.
Really?
Yeah, I'm gonna say Mike Kanellis. He has the possibility of going somewhere, changing his whole thing, and coming back and becoming like a Seth Rollins type guy. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that that's what I think is going to happen. I'm saying that out of all these names that you're seeing here, you know, no way, Jose. I hope I'm wrong. I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening with Rowan. Eric Young, definitely not. Heath Slater, it's a funny story, but it's not him. I mean, maybe Zack Ryder. That would be cool. Kurt Hawkins, you know, Bayside boy, lives a couple blocks away from me. Or lived a couple blocks away from me. He could do something. But, you know, Kurt Hawkins has his own business. He's involved with NYWC. He trains people. They have their podcast. So I don't know how much of the I need to prove myself is there.
Right.
You know, I think for Rusev, 100% it's there. I would go, I think Rusev.
All right. Let's see. What else we got here? What did you guys think of the NXT debuts of Thatcher, Phantasmo, and Cross?
Yeah. I have to tell you, Rich and I have spoken about, and again, no knock at the guy. I don't know how his style is going to translate to TV.
Who?
Timothy Thatcher. Yeah.
Well, they did a smart move with him, and they made him Matt Riddle's partner last night.
Which makes sense.
Right, because like him replacing Pete Dunne, fantastic.
How did he look on TV? Because I was watching NXT this morning, and I was going through.
He looked great.
Yeah.
He looked great. He came across great. Dude's in tip-top shape, you know, knows how to work, obviously. I'm not a fan of Karrion Kross.
Karrion Kross, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it sounds like it's too much of a pun, right?
He's carrying the burden. He's carrying the cross.
Right.
That kind,
and
yeah.
I feel like if they just called him Cross, that would have been way better.
It's funny because when I put his name in, Google's telling me, do you mean Caden Cross, the porn star? Or Karen Cross? Killer Cross. So he attacked Ciampa.
He's dead.
He's dead. He murdered Ciampa.
Come on, Ciampa's dead.
So listen, Killer Cross, 34 years old, 6'4", New Yorker. You know, this guy has a tremendous future in this company. I hope they use him properly. Karrion Kross.
It's not a good name.
No, what'd you think of Phantasmo?
Phantasmo's great. You know, like I'm cool with Phantasmo. but again, like that. What did you think of the new faction that Zelina Vega has?
Oh, her the Los Ingobernables crew again?
Yeah,
Yeah, I like it. I like the crew. Do they have a name?
with Austin Theory, Angel Garza, and Andrade. If they called them AAA, that would be fantastic.
Oh, that'd be Andrade, Austin, and Angel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. They could call them AAA. That's fucking great. I didn't
Yeah,
even think of that.
it's like a little dig, right?
Yeah, I like it.
But that's a good little faction right there. And also Zelina Vega is an amazing manager.
Yeah. You know what? She's I never want to see her wrestle, but my God, she is great on the mic. Great manager.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What else do we have?
It looks like that's it.
Is that it? Did we not get to your
How
question?
How long does Braun hold the WWE title, and who does he drop it to?
Okay. So let's book this. I think who's his feud with now? The Fiend.
Mm-hmm.
Does he drop it to the Fiend, and then the Fiend drops it
It's
to
Roman Reigns.
Roman?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
Well,
no,
here's
no.
the thing. Does what? But you got to think of this, right? Does a Fiend lose?
No. I think Braun's gonna drop it to Roman, and Roman drops it to the Fiend, and then you have him hold the
Yeah,
belt
but
for
they
a
already
while.
put in place that the next storyline is Fiend and Braun on SmackDown. They started that.
They could stretch it out though. Stretch it out until Roman comes back. Then you have you can have some pretty fun 3-ways with both of them, right?
You could do that. John Cena, I'm curious if he plays a part in this. I would love him to come back as NWO Cena and thinks he's Hogan.
Oh my God. He comes back as a piece of shit.
I would love that too. That's a great one too. Los Ingobernables de Performance Center, says Renus. Can I get some internet kisses from Adam? Mwah, there you go. Okay, last question. When will Hogan leg drop this coronavirus? SummerSlam? When do you think? You think Hogan's a cure?
I told you he's gonna travel into the bacteria universe or the viral universe and just eliminate everything with a series of thunderous leg drops.
You know what I really hope happens with John Cena? He got teleported into the 17th century.
Okay.
And he's just walking around in Europe in the 17th century right now in the 1600s, doesn't know what the hell to do.
Like he's in the Renaissance?
Like he's in the Renaissance, yeah. He's just walking in that same outfit. He just appears in the middle of England somewhere.
You know what would happen?
They would burn him.
Everybody would try to sculpt him. If John Cena showed up in the Renaissance, like all these dudes, like Michelangelo, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, take your shirt off. I need to see your chest."
Yeah,
this is how they talk, right?
That is how they talk. Yeah, it's exactly how they talk. So we'll see. You know, we'll see. I'm curious how they do this. Listen, maybe SummerSlam is going to be in an empty building too. I don't know. I don't know what the answer here is to this. Right now, you know, New York City is extended as of right now. They've extended the stay at, I guess, the pause till the 15th, till Mother's Day. So I think that Monday we kind of will see everything go back to normal, but slowly.
What, May 15th?
May 15th. Yeah, they extended this instead of the end of the month.
Another month of this?
Got another month at least. At least.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I think we're at the point where people are going to start breaking the rules.
I agree. I think Monday's the day where everybody's, you know, gonna go nuts. I was seeing today like a bunch of bars and restaurants I follow. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna open up soon." I'm like, I don't know if that's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know. One more question, says Jonathan. All right, let's see. What about Drew? How long does he keep the title, Rich?
I'm gonna say until 1 year. I'll put that belt on him for 1 year.
You think a year?
Yeah, dude. I think he's gonna hold on to that belt for a while.
Well, they need to build somebody to take it off of him before they do anything else. I think that's the biggest question here. Right now, he has the title deservingly, but they haven't really done a good job at building anybody else to get the title off of him. So,
well, how long did Jinder have that belt?
200 and something days, I think, or 198.
Okay,
it was like, I think it was like 200 days. Okay. So 200 days is easy. You could do that very easily. You know,
100%.
Yeah. Any other questions before we wrap it up? Did you see Trump named Vince McMahon as part of the economic growth team? Yeah, I think a lot of these, a lot of major businesses, especially from sports, are going to be on that advisory board. Talk XFL. Yeah, the XFL's done again. We did not
Ooh,
mention this at the start of
jeez.
the show.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons why it's done. I think a lot of it has to do with recouping costs and insurance reasons. They are going through bankruptcy. I think Vince personally loaned the company $3.5 million to go through the bankruptcy procedure. I think this was just to recoup some of the costs. Listen, they played decent football. I know people were getting behind it. All the bars in the neighborhood had it on. People were watching it in February when I was going out, and I was actually shocked how much positivity was around this XFL. The ratings were okay. They were hanging on. So I think it's a shame that it happened the way that it happened. I did think that there was possibly a little bit of a future here in this company, but with the XFL. But listen, it's business, and it's a first year business. You got to think about how long it's going to take you to recoup the costs if you can't have shows going on, and they're concerned about next year as well. So understandably, they had to close everything.
Yeah. It sucks. I know people did like it, like you were saying. Like I like going on social media, people were really loving it.
Deacon's in here doing some bizarre dance again, and it's a new one.
He doing that Deke dance?
No, he has a new dance. I can't show it. I'll save it for the pay-per-views.
That deep Deke dance?
The deep Deke dance. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. No What the Tech today, What the Tech tomorrow afternoon.
What the Tech tomorrow, baby. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
This is kind of like a what if.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say they announce more names today, and at the top of that list, Triple H.
Triple H has been let go?
Yeah.
Oh, if he gets let go, he has bigger problems. That means that he's getting a divorce. Does he show up in AEW? He does. Hunter shows up in AEW.
No. He shows up as a jobber in AEW.
Him and Cody in that match, in that unbelievable match.
He doesn't need to wrestle another day in his life, right?
No.
No. But I think it like the dream match would be him and Cody, right?
That would be the match, yeah.
Control
the company. Control the company. Cody loses.
Also, him and Triple H. Triple H and Kenny. Why not? Right?
Why not? You could have that. I mentioned. I was told that a lot of the Legends deals are also getting cut.
Okay.
Some of that is very sad because some of these guys really need that money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who they're going to announce from that. But listen, a lot of people are furloughed, so I think a lot of people don't want to mention it just in case it pisses off the company and they get fired.
Exactly.
But it is what it is. All right, guys. That's it for this week. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Obviously, you can subscribe to us. You can fund us on Patreon, patreon.com/MattMenPodcast. You can follow me on Twitter @AndrewZarian, BTC Rich for Rich, Mattmen Podcast for the podcast. Also, hit the subscribe button here on YouTube. Very much needed. We're almost at 4,000 subs. My goal is to be at 10,000 by the end of the year. We're getting there.
Maybe there.
Yeah, we're getting there, and it's happening. And listen, guys, love all of you. Take care.